Do you need dark fantasy book recommendations? I've got you covered. And before this video is done, you will also know which of these books I find the most interesting. Book recommendation 1. We have The Dark Tower. The author is Stephen King, master of horror. This is an 8-book series where book 1 is called The Gunslinger. Many consider The Dark Tower to be one of the most popular dark fantasy series to date. The series also has a short story and a children's book, but I'll be listing their names later in this video. Book 1 is around 200 and 300 pages, depending on the edition of the book. The first book is about a lone gunslinger called Roland of Gilead. He travels across an Old West-like world as he hunts the Man in Black, a man that may or may not be connected to Roland's ultimate quest to reach the enigmatic Dark Tower. And these are the rest of the books in the series, including the short story and the children's book. Hit subscribe, become a part of the Tales tribe today to get all future videos in this video series delivered to you. And book recommendation 2 is The Nevernight Chronicles. The author is J. Kristoff. This is a trilogy of books, where book 1 is called Nevernight. Book 1 is between 400 and 500 pages, depending on the edition. The story of the first book follows the assassin 𝗵𝗂𝘆 and her quest for revenge against very powerful people for destroying her family. She has been trained by the Red Church as both an assassin and as a Darkin, which are mysterious beings that can harness the power to control shadows. And these are the rest of the books in the series. And book recommendation 3 is Shadows for Silence in the Forests of Hell. And the author is the legendary Brandon Sanderson. This is the short standalone book. Most booktubers and many readers actually consider Brandon Sanderson to be one of the best fantasy writers who are still working today. This dark fantasy book is actually perfect for getting introduced to Sanderson's writing. The book is between 50 and 70 pages depending on the edition, so it is a shorter book. This story takes place in a dark and creepy forest where the shades of the dead lurk around every corner. Everyone here knows about the 3 rules of the forest. Don't kindle flame, don't shed the blood of another, and don't run at night. The innkeeper Silence Montane is forced to break all 3 rules to protect her family from a murderous gang, and this makes her a perfect target, and not just for the gang, but also for the dead that still linger in the forest. And if you think there are any books that I missed in these recommendations, or if you have any dark fantasy book recommendations of your own, feel free to post them in the comment below. Before making this video, I had actually set The Dark Tower as being the most interesting book in this video. But lo and behold, that actually didn't end up to be the case. I actually find Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell to be the most interesting book in this video. I find it the most interesting because I've wanted to introduce myself to the legendary Brandon Sanderson's writing for a while now. And why not start with a spooky, Sleepy Hollow-like dark fantasy story? The spooky atmosphere of Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell actually reminds me of this creepy dark fantasy story of mine. I really think you're going to enjoy it. And in this playlist you can watch all previous dark fantasy book recommendations.